What's up, you guys? It's your girl Amber, and I'm here with my friend Whitney. Before we get started, I want to do something that I think that should be more of a norm, and let's talk about our pronouns. I'm Amber, I'm she, her, and daddy.
I'm Whitney, I go by they, them.
So I really wanted to have this conversation, which we had this conversation off camera, and I was just like, yo, can I interview you? We've been talking about Whitney's journey. I don't even want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story, but coming into yourself and like where you found yourself more comfortable being non-binary.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like a really recent experience. Like I definitely don't have as like a longer like coming out process, because having some time myself in quarantine like really helped me like rediscover myself and like discover like who I really am. So honestly, I had decided to get top surgery before I came to terms with the fact that I'm non-binary.
Wow.
Which isn't very common.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
It was one of those things where it's like I knew what I wanted for my body, but I still wasn't quite there yet with my own gender. Around December, somebody asked me, when was the last time you wanted to show off your boobs? And I was like, never.
Right.
Like I couldn't remember, and like that kind of set me on this like quest to kind of like figure out, well, why do I feel that way? And so because I had a couple friends that had gone through top surgery and like that are trans, I was like, you know, I think that's something I want. And it was a pretty quick decision I had to make because I was 24 at the time, I'm 25 now. I'm going to be off my mom's health insurance soon.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
I didn't feel like I had a lot of time to really keep like debating it. I felt like I had to make a quick decision because waiting times for top surgery can be pretty long. I actually made a pretty quick decision beginning of January. I was like, I'm gonna get top surgery. I'm not gonna regret this.
With what you said right now, you said that you made a decision to have top surgery before you realized that you fit more in the trans umbrella. And I said makes sense just because I know you and then we talked about it. But I also had a lot of lesbian friends that had the top surgery, whether they started the transition process or not, just because, you know, if they feel like themselves in a masculine body, they don't feel like their boobs fit that. Because we were talking about it earlier, when you have, you know, big bosoms, there's a very prominent feminine part of you. Yeah. Right? And I was just saying that it makes sense for you because you did feel like you had large breasts, and that was something that screamed femininity and made you feel
absolutely
not in yourself, right? But okay, the question that I had right away is, your insurance covered your top surgery?
It covered a large portion of it.
So tell me about that. Yeah. What did you have to do?
It was actually like a really weirdly complicated process because without insurance, it would have been like coming up on like $15,000 out of pocket. The actual surgery itself, like charged by the surgery center, was $10,000. So in order for me to get my insurance to cover it, I basically had to prove I was trans. Like I literally had to go to a psychologist and have them prescribe me or diagnose me as gender nonconforming. On paper, it's actually like a disability.
That's how that came off to me.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
To have to prove who you are,
like
to
a mental
be able.
Disorder.
That just frustrated me.
They have to diagnose you with body dysmorphia, and then you have to take that paperwork to your insurance company to basically prove I'm trans and I need this like for my own like life-saving processes.
I mean, that part's true.
Yeah,
especially for a lot of people. Like for me to be able to move forward and feel comfortable within myself, I need this change in my body to feel like I'm in the body that I am supposed to be in. So that part makes sense, but the fact that you have to go through this route and have someone declare yes or no on your life, that's disgusting to me. But I do like that you were able to get this covered, because I know that that's been an issue that I've heard before amongst friends and just people on the internet, but you're lucky to have that. Yeah, the insurance in general, because I know for a lot of people they have to raise money.
Absolutely.
But you still had to come out of pocket.
I still had to dish out like $6,000.
You were raising money?
Yeah, I had a whole fundraiser and everything. It was really incredible, actually. We raised the money in like a day.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
I wish I would have known. I would have contributed. I would have loved to have everybody else contribute, because that's really important.
I mean, it all turned out okay.
Yeah.
Like, raised all 6K in one day. It was wild.
Wow. And you did this all the summer, huh?
Yeah. It was like all like in June.
Wow. Oh, Pride Month.
Pride Month.
Yeah, that was a good time.
time.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then, so you just had it, the surgery.
Literally a month ago today.
Wow. And how are you feeling?
I feel amazing. I have not felt this comfortable in my own body in probably years, like probably since like high school. Like, I have a completely different relationship with clothes now. I'm excited to like go out and like show off my clothes, even though there's nobody to show off to.
I know, right?
Because we're in quarantine.
You got the internet, you post it.
Like, the clothes that I see like men wearing are actually an option for me now. Like,
yeah, talk about that.
So like before, you know, I'd be on like Forever 21's men's section, ASOS men's section, like looking at all these like cool different clothes that I want to wear, but all of them were like slim fit, tight chested things that I knew I wouldn't be able to pull off because I had such a big chest. And it's a great feeling now, like even just like knowing I could unbutton this and nobody would care.
For real.
Like, it's incredible, honestly.
I understand you in the clothes thing. Like, I really do. Growing up, just being masculine, right? It was just really hard. It's like, oh yeah, like where do I find the clothes for me, right? And we were talking about earlier how there's not enough genderqueer clothing lines.
Yeah,
for our
especially
community.
Like, an affordable, like gender neutral clothing line. That was definitely the hardest part for me. Was like, I'd go on these websites and like try to like find clothes that I feel like would fit me, like with the chest and the body that I had, and then being like, oh, that would be cool, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
So then I was forced to kind of choose in like the binary of these other non-gender neutral clothing lines. And so like, because of the body that I had, everything that looked good on me was feminine, and I didn't feel feminine. So like my whole life that totally played into like this costume I was wearing of being a woman. Like, clothing is such a huge part of it.
Absolutely. Now you feel different. So tell me about the day after the surgery. How did you feel?
I was still doped up.
Yeah, oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was weird, actually. So I was expecting to feel more weightlessness because I found out my breasts were actually 9 pounds combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was expecting to feel like more like weightless.
Yeah.
But it was actually, I had the feeling of like somebody being on my back, and like I was like holding them, like it was like I was being dragged down because the binder was like dragging me down, and then like there was like this weird phantom feeling of like my breasts still being there. And I had that for a really long time. Right after your surgery, your body's kind of like in a state of trauma, so your muscles contract and it forces you to sit forward, and that's part of that feeling of being heavy. Like, now that I'm a month out, I can like lean back a little bit more and like have my chest up a little bit more, but like the muscles just like are basically just trying to protect you.
Did you have a moment where it was like, oh wow, like, you know what I mean? And you really got to feel the difference?
Yeah, I had a huge binder on and bandages and everything for a week. And then at the end of that week, they took them all off, and I finally got to see my chest for the first time. And even though I was like still hunched over, looking in the mirror, seeing myself as myself for the first time was better than anything you can imagine. Like, literally just like looking in the mirror, especially I had been working out a lot, like to try to like build some chest definition, and finally being able to see like the hard work that I put into it, like in the form of like just like the little muscle definition that I have, was just like unfathomable.
Tell me about it. Is this something that you thought of for a long time, or is this something that just kind of happened? You saw something and it made sense for you? Well,
I was fortunate enough to actually have had examples and been able to see people who've had this surgery done. So of course there's a lot on the internet that you can find these days, which is great, but having that like physical example, like a friend who's gone through it and like seeing how it's changed them personally, definitely like made a bigger impact on me. Like the person that I knew that influenced me to get top surgery, they were living their best life. Like, they had a great looking chest. Like, I was like, I want that. Right. I want to be able to wear the clothes that he wears. Like, I want to have that same feeling of self-confidence. So like having that like representation really did matter.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I would not have came to this conclusion on my own without seeing that it could be an option for me.
That's why representation is so important, and that's why I literally want you in this video to be that for someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you realize now that your representation?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's.
I mean, always, but I'm just saying, especially like being able to tell your story and just feeling so happy about it and strong about it and confident about it literally helps so many people, right?
I'm happy to be that.
So prior to this surgery, how did you identify differently? Or I would say last year.
I did. Last year, I was like, I'm a woman, I'm cisgendered, but I was completely in a state of denial. And I've been in denial pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back pretty far. But I think the defining moment for me, like even while I was deciding to get my top surgery and still calling myself cisgendered, the defining moment for me was like in quarantine on Trans Appreciation Day, or like seeing all these beautiful people come forward and like talk about how proud they were and like how happy they are to be who they are, and like me like sitting there in silence, like identifying with all these people and like resonating with all these people and like kind of having like a quiet happy day to myself. And it really helped me like sit and reflect, in quarantine, about how I thought about myself for like my entire life and how I feel about myself now. And it was honestly that day that like really solidified for me. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely non-binary. I'm not a man, I'm not a woman. I've always felt like I was neither. Like to the point, like even in my childhood, where I was like, oh, I'm just like not human.
Wow, yeah, I feel that energy.
I just, in my childhood, there's only two options: you're a man or you're a woman. And I was like, I'm neither. So what am I? So, like now being like, I'm non-binary, having that language honestly is so empowering.
Absolutely. I know we talked about before when you were a Black woman lesbian, right? And you were saying that like that for you was a costume, right? Still, and the hardest thing for you was letting go of being like, oh, my whole life I've been a proud Black woman. So talk to me about that.
So it's interesting because I spent my whole life having this identity that I am a Black woman and that it's something to be proud of. That's an identity that I didn't want to let go.
Why?
It's how I was raised. There's pride in being a woman. There's pride in being Black. And I was raised and I was both of those things. So while it's something, I can't say like I completely let it go, because it is an experience that I will always have with me.
Absolutely.
I am not a woman. But I am non-binary, and I do have the experience of what it's like to be a Black woman in America.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Absolutely.
Like having that experience, even if I don't identify as a woman myself.
You still have that pride. You know what I mean? There is so much pride of being a Black queer, okay? And then I feel like I'm always trying to yell this from the rooftops, because at every big event or protest or celebration or anything, you see a queer Black person at the head of it, because we have gone through so much in life that we're not afraid to celebrate ourselves and push it forward or fight the good fight. So there is so much pride. I just want you to like feel that and understand that, because I understand that other side of it, and growing up and getting a lot from your mom, which you talked about, right? But you still have that in a way, and I just want you to remember that.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I hope it made sense the way I expressed it. But
absolutely, I definitely feel that. I was afraid to admit that I was that extra level of otherness. Like I'm already Black. I'm already a woman. I'm already queer.
Right.
I didn't want to add trans to that list.
Because society.
Yeah.
Right? And also within our own community.
Yeah, exactly.
We fail at supporting the trans community, even within our own community. And then if we don't do that, then of course others outside of the community won't. So that's something that we have to work on, because you shouldn't feel like that. You should feel supported.
It felt like I would have been attacked from a couple different angles. Like there's already a stigma in the Black community about being LGBTQ, and so it's like I'd already kind of broken through that. And then
masculine,
being like a Black masculine presenting person in the LGBTQ community also comes with its own stereotypes and stigmas. And then also like in the LGBTQ community, there's a lot of anti-trans rhetoric that's still being circulated amongst our own community. So it's like, I'm getting it from the Black community, I'm getting it from the LGBT community. Like where am I supposed to go and who am I supposed to look to? There's plenty of really amazing like Black trans advocates out there. It's harder to find people personally that you connect to, people that in your own life that you can look to.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it does make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I'm thankful that you had someone, that your friends around you to go through the process to help you out. But that's why I think we need to do more at sharing stories, like Black stories, sharing Black queer stories, just sharing queer stories in general, because you never know who can relate to them and whose life you can literally save. I'm so mad it took me so long to come out. I was 26. I was older than you. Literally just angry that it took me that long. And that's why I want to do whatever I can, share whoever story I can to help someone else in their journey and make it easier. Because it shouldn't take us long. We shouldn't feel weird. We shouldn't want to add the other. Mm-hmm. We should feel empowered by that.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm different. I'm unique. You mentioned that you had some hurdles that you had to overcome to be where you are. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, there's 3 main hurdles. The first one being that proud Black woman that I was raised to be.
Right.
The second one, looking in the mirror and liking what I see while also feeling like it's a costume. I feel like it set me back for a really long time, because when I would look in the mirror, I am what I'm attracted to. Like I have big breasts, I have wide hips, like I'm a curvy Black woman. Mm-hmm. I like curvy Black women.
Same.
So I would see that and I'd be attracted to it. Mm-hmm. And I'd think it was fine, although I knew, like, in my heart, I was like, it just didn't quite feel right. It's a different kind of body dysmorphia almost. Mm-hmm. I like what I see, but it's not me.
Oof, that's deep.
Like, I feel like I really had to kind of like unzip that costume and like I appreciated my body for what it was, but it's just like, it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Which is why I got the top surgery, and I feel so much more confident. I feel so much more myself. Like, I attributed a lot of what I was attracted to and how I felt I would be attractive to other people, and I took that and kind of embodied that a lot. I had to remind myself and discover my self-confidence is the most attractive thing I could possibly have.
Absolutely.
So if I'm not confident wearing whatever busty outfit I'm wearing to show off my boobs or show off my hips, like, it's instantly just going to be unattractive, because I'm putting on a show.
Listen, I have seen you in so many variations. You are always fly. Always. Every time I see you enter a room, I see you, and you're always stand out. And I just need to tell you that. And now that you just said that, I know that in some times that I've seen you, you weren't feeling like that inside, right? But it just didn't come off that way.
A lot of the time. Even like when I'd go to your party sometimes, like I remember there was this one particular time I was wearing this like red velvet shirt that I got from the Forever 21 men's section, and then I saw the pictures come back later, and my breasts just like looked enormous to me, and like while all my friends were like, you look so good, I was like, don't post those. I didn't like them. I wasn't confident.
I hear you, and I'm sorry that you were like going through that at the time, and I hope that you had someone like there to talk to or support. And I'm sorry it wasn't me, because I would love to, be there for you.
I mean, it's one of those things you don't even know how to talk about sometimes, because you just don't. It comes back to this like self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Like, I had a lot of self-doubt about like me being trans, and I had a lot of self-doubt about like my own body, and it's like, it almost makes you wonder, is it body dysmorphia, or are these just attributes of my body that I'm not comfortable with? Like, everybody has things that they're not comfortable with. Am I trans, or am I just not comfortable with my body? For me, it's both, but it's hard to differentiate.
I can see that. When you came to the decision, did you have support, or did you just do this on your own? Because I think that's really important for people that feel like they don't have a support system, or they don't even know how to make sense of the feelings that you had.
I had support from unlikely places. I thought that I would have more support from my mother, but I knew it would be a slippery slope, like telling her, because it's just something that we hadn't really ever talked about. Because I didn't have a coming out as queer to my mother. I just told her I had a girlfriend, and she was like, okay, well, when am I meeting her? It was a different thing coming out to her as trans, and I definitely didn't get the support there that I would have liked, and so I found myself looking in other places, and luckily I did have very good friends at the time to like be there for me, be happy for me, like also like trans friends who've gone through this to be there for me. So that support is important. And I think that along with that support, I also had examples like I'd found on Instagram of just like people I'd reached out to and been like, hey, like this is something I'm thinking about for myself. Just like I would ask them a little, like a question or like compliment them, something like that. And like even just like getting that message back from somebody that like I admired on the internet meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And like that to me was really great support. And so that's why sometimes when people message me now, I always respond.
Yeah.
Because I knew how much it meant to me to have like that like person who doesn't even have that like many followers or anything. They're just like an example for me.
Yeah. So are you welcome to people messaging you?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put Whitney's info in the description.
It doesn't happen often, but like the couple times that it's happened, I answer every single time.
Yeah. Oh my God. At the beginning, I tried to do that so often, but over the years, it's gotten a little overwhelming. Yeah. That's why I try to like do it in the ways that I can. But I was telling you earlier before we started filming how for me it was events that I did, real life situations like that of someone coming up and saying, hey, you helped me through this, and I get to hug that person. That's so meaningful to me. That's where it feels real. So I want to do that more in real life, and I hope that when the world opens up I can do that more again. But with what you said, that's why chosen family is so important. And I just want, to keep emphasizing that for people that feel like they don't have that support. There are resources, there is community, there are centers, there are websites or people online that are going through, or that have been through what you feel or what you're what you're going through currently, and that you're not alone. So I just want people to remember that, because chosen family is
imperative.
Yeah, and what helped you through this process.
Absolutely.
With your mom, you think that it might have been something it was just different, something she hasn't experienced, maybe.
Definitely something that was different. It's my mom's the type where it's like when it's other people, she's like all gung-ho for it. But now that it's her own child, she's having her own kind of self-reflection. I can't speak to what she's going through because we haven't fully dived into it. She's coming around, like it's not like she's like rejected me or anything, which I'm so fortunate for.
Of course.
But there was definitely a lot of tears involved, and I think it started her wondering what she did in raising me that made me this way.
I was about to say that. That's literally majority of parents' reactions of like their negative reaction is usually literally born like that's the bottom line, is they feel like it's something that they did in raising you, and so they react selfishly, like oh my God, I did this to my child, this is my issue, and like literally break down. And then but after a while, hopefully that they sit on that feeling and they kind of go through it, and like they're just like, oh, this is not about me. How do I support my child?
That's kind of the journey my mother's going on. I actually sent her this book called Beyond the Gender Binary by Alok Menon, I think their last name is, and I sent that to her and she read it, and she's been like a lot better ever since in trying to support me. She's not quite ready to like fully embrace me. Like she doesn't want to see me like what I look like with my shirt off yet, which she's missing out on, but she's getting there.
Yeah, if you follow Whitney, I'm sure you'll be blessed.
But the last hurdle was, I feel like I spent so much of my life as an outsider, I didn't want to add more to it. And in reality, as soon as I open myself up to it, I don't feel like I'm this other. I feel like I'm much more myself. I feel much more embraced. Right. Honestly, especially like by my chosen family and the community that I've chosen to embrace.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who wants to be like each other? Come on, man. Like,
it's nice to be different.
It is. It's very nice. Especially when you're surrounded by other aliens, what I call it. Like, I feel like I'm an alien. That's why when you said I am not human earlier, I was like, yo, I thought I was an alien forever. And like...
Same. I had the same feeling.
I think I still have that on my Twitter. I used to have it on every bio of my socials. Like, I'm an alien. Sometimes when this world is just so hateful or so not understanding or open-minded and embracing and loving of people being different, it makes me feel like when are they coming to get me? Like I'm just like, take me back to the planet I'm supposed to be on, When I say like it's amazing to be different, I do also feel like one of our issues in this world, the hate building, is not realizing that there's more that join us together than separate us. And that's another one of our issues is like, hey, yo, like, it doesn't matter my sexuality. Like, we have a lot of things in common when it comes to just like things that happen in school or upbringing or like even just relationship situations. So
perfect example, like right here, like I'm speaking from a trans perspective, you're speaking from a cis perspective, and we still like totally feel each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sitting with me and having this conversation, because I feel like this was a perfect way to end LGBTQIA plus History Month. If you guys didn't know, that's what October is. And you guys should be ready for National Coming Out Day, which is October 11th. Every year, remember that. It's really important. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'll see you guys soon. Stay amazing, stay proud, and stay woke. Peace.